Welcome to the story of Naomi and Ruth. This story is from Ruth, chapter 1, verses 1 through 22. The lesson focus for grades 5 and 6 is, we can be honest about our sadness. The book of Ruth is one of the shortest books in the Old Testament. It is only 4 chapters long, but it is a big story, a story of faithfulness, loyalty, and family. This story begins tragically with the death of the men in the family. 3 women were left alone: Naomi, an Israelite woman, and her 2 Moabite daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah. In biblical times, these women would have been very vulnerable on their own because they had no way of providing for themselves. For this reason, Naomi told Ruth and Orpah to return to their homes in hopes of a better future. But Ruth did not leave. Instead, she stayed with her mother-in-law. She was not legally required to remain with her, and Naomi probably didn't expect that she would stay. Because Ruth was a Moabite and Naomi was an Israelite, Ruth was choosing to travel to a place where she would be considered a foreigner or outsider. By vowing to stay with Naomi, Ruth demonstrated great love and loyalty, far beyond what was expected. Ruth's devotion to Naomi can teach us about the extraordinary love and faithfulness that God has for us. This love goes beyond anything that is expected or requested. In this story, Ruth went above and beyond the expected in her love and loyalty to Naomi. She created her own family out of loyalty and love, not one that was formed by biological ties or regional backgrounds. God calls us to be in loving relationships in our own immediate families, but also in the family of God, which is all around us. Ruth, Orpah, and Naomi were all honest about their sadness, and as the story shows, each woman expressed that sadness in a different way. We can be honest about our sadness too. God is always at work in our lives, including times of sadness, to bring us the support that we need. While we may strive to be like Ruth in our love and devotion, we are often more like Naomi. We are on the receiving end of love, loyalty, and faithfulness. These are things we receive from family and friends, but we can also trust that we always receive these from God. Honesty is important for this age group. When we are honest about the hurt and sadness in our lives, we can also see more clearly how God loves us and surrounds us with people who can help. A clean classroom is a happy classroom. A learning space that is taken care of will show your group that they are important and that your time together is important. Make sure your group picks up after themselves when their time is done. After kids read the story of Naomi and Ruth, encourage them to use the maps in their Spark Bibles to find the route they think Naomi and Ruth may have traveled to get from Moab to Bethlehem. Measure the distance and ask if they know of a comparable distance between your location and a neighboring town or city. The conversation starter questions in the I've Got Your Back activity may bring up some tough situations that kids are dealing with. Be respectful in talking about the difficulties and sharing our true feelings with family members. If a kid brings something up that worries you, talk to your pastor about how to give help. The idea of lamenting to God in the Lament Cards activity might be new to a lot of your kids since it's done so infrequently in most congregations. Make sure to explain that lamenting is not complaining. It's being honest with God about the way we feel and trusting that God can help us. Kids will feel more comfortable carrying each other's burdens in the closing prayer if they know that their laments will remain anonymous. Keep this in mind when giving instructions on writing laments so they know not to put their names on the cards. As you prepare for this lesson, remember that kids will appreciate your honesty in recognizing with them that we can be honest about our sadness.